Hello everyone and welcome to the second game of the World Chess Championship match between Nepomniachtchi and the Ding Liren. We've seen what happened in game 1. Nepo surprised the Ding very early on, but the Ding defended well, and in the end it just unwound in a very nice draw. It was an enjoyable game nonetheless. Many hidden variations. I made a 43-minute video about it, which is okay, quite long. So I'm gonna try not to make this one as long, but I will answer one question before we check out the game, and that is you guys asked who were the players seconds. That was the question that was asked most in the comment section. Ding Liren's second is Hungary's #1 player, and that is Richard Rapport. Very unique style, very interesting player, very aggressive player. You never know what to expect from him, and he's definitely someone you want at your side when coming at a player like Nepomniachtchi. And the influence of his play will definitely be felt in this game. For those of you who haven't seen this game, I mean, you really are in for a treat. And Nepo's second, I don't think there's been a lot of discussion about him. It is, of course, a very strong Russian grandmaster, Nikita Vityugov. And if I get any more insight on what they've been working on, I will share during the match. And here there's also a very nice photo of Ding and Richard going into the playing hall, I imagine. When Ding was asked after the game yesterday about his second, this is what the Ding said. I like his creative playing style. I can speak English with him, and he can help me come across better and improve my speaking. We also have many things in common. We like music of the 80s. So, do with that what you will, but probably while they are preparing, they are listening to some 80s music and becoming very good friends. So that being said, let's check out the game. And also, okay, the first move was made by none other than Timur Turlov, the president of the Kazakhstan Chess Federation and CEO of Freedom Holding Corp, general partner of the FIDE World Championship match. So there you have it, very serious move being made, staring into the camera like that, waiting for his photo to appear perfect. Ding busy staring at Nepo doing the death stare, and I think Nepo is just goofing around, being his usual self. So that being said, let's check out the second game. Truly a beauty. Ding opens with pawn to d4. We have knight to f6 by Nepo. c4, we have e6, knight to f3, and d5. So a standard queen's gambit declined, where Ding already plays a move that has sort of never been played before. It's been played in a few online games, and it has been played once over the board 20 years ago in a very low-level game between players of 1500 rating, and that is pawn to h3. Now, this is a move you don't want to see in a World Chess Championship match, and it's something when Nepo saw it, he just made his classic Nepo face, like, and I don't know. Definitely feels unpleasant. You know that, of course, your opponent will surprise you from time to time in a World Chess Championship match. You just don't expect it in a Queen's Gambit declined on move 4. Like, that just doesn't happen. But it is what Ding managed to do. And it's definitely the influence of Richard Rapport being felt here. And like I said, there is that one game where c5 was played, but here d captures and c4 is what Nepo plays. And I don't know, we can consider any of these positions a completely new game, but I really want to make it the h3 move because the other games weren't really notable ones. So here e3. A lot of people were also discussing something like g4 and bishop to g2, but that would just be going crazy. So Ding just wants to play a solid game with the inclusion of h3, and that every position, after every move they make, Nepo will have to recollect all of the positions that he knows by heart, and then he will have to figure out how does h3 influence all of those positions. So it's really a mind-bending idea. We have pawn to c5, now comes bishop captures on c4, and pawn to a6, preparing b5. So again, all very standard Queen's Gambit decline ideas. We have castles, and now knight to c6. Knight to c6 is a very nice move. Also, if you want, you could play c captures on d4. Let's say knight captures and bishop to c5. And now let's say b3 and bishop captures on d4. Kind of force white to play with an isolated d-pawn, but white really doesn't mind. Let's say knight c6, bishop to b2. Let's say b5 attacks the bishop. There's even d5. And you could definitely try something like this. Knight to b4, bishop back to e2. You sacrifice a pawn, knight b captures on d5, and now a4, going after the b5 pawn, and if b4, queen to d4. So even positions like these are possible, where you give up a pawn for some very active play. You have the bishop pair, you have the very nice queen-bishop combo here. definitely something to consider. But that's probably why he went knight to c6. He doesn't want to even give Ding the possibility of going for some sort of an attacking formation like that. And now knight to c3. And okay, the position is as it is, but the situation on the clock is very different. An hour and 53 minutes for Ding and an hour and 36 minutes for Jan Nepomniachtchi. So Jan had to waste a lot of time working out how does h3 influence all of these positions. We have pawn to b5 now, bishop to d3, and bishop to b7. Of course, Ding goes for pawn to a4, and now Jan needs to decide how to continue this game. Does he want to play c captures on d4? Does he want to play c4? Does he want to just ignore this and play bishop to e7? So all of these ideas are nice. The problem is, let's say you play pawn to c4. Then you always get a captures on b5. And after a captures, rook captures on a8, let's say bishop captures, you're going to move the bishop back. And okay, you can play this. You have the b and c pawn. At some point, b4 can be played. It's maybe even prepared with queen to b8. It's a very nice position. On the other hand, if you don't play that, if you play c captures on d4, you will get a similar response. A captures, and rook captures, bishop captures, and now knight captures on d4, knight captures, e captures, and you will lose the b5 pawn at some point. Let's say bishop to c6, even prepare it with queen to e2, queen to d7, and now you just trade everything. Bishop captures, queen captures, knight captures, and we end this line with white being up a full pawn. Probably it will end in a draw, but you know, it is black will have to defend for the rest of the game. Other option is just ignore it with bishop to e7, but Jan takes on the challenge and plays pawn to b4. And okay, here we have knight to e4, and now knight to a5, and this is a beautiful move by Jan. He's down half an hour on the clock. Ding has some hour and 50 minutes. Nepo has an hour and 20 minutes. And here he plays this knight to a5 move, which we are going to discuss. I will just show you what is objectively sort of the move that should be played here, and that is queen to d5. The problem here is that after knight captures and g captures, pawn to e4, you will bring your queen back to d7, now d5, and now after captures, and queen captures, there's rook e1 check, bishop to e7, and now even bishop to f4, with always having the option of going bishop to e4 to minimize black's pressure along this diagonal. But still, it's not a great position for it's either a great position for both players or not a great position for either player. Let's say bishop to c2. Okay, you can trade queens here. Let's say queen captures, rook captures, and the game continues. Very, very unbalanced stuff here. So while this is possible, Nepo goes for knight to a5, and he offers a full pawn here. And it's not a new move. It has been played before by none other than Levon Aronian, but not quite in this position. It's been played twice. Gukesh had it against Levon, and also Ding had it against Levon, and Ding actually defeated Levon in this game. The problem is here h3 wasn't played. Instead of h3, rook to e1 was played, and now even if Nepo knows that this position has been reached, but it's very hard because Ding had it against Levon in the 2021 Speed Chess Championship, so it would be weird if Nepo knew that by heart. But still, even if he knew that, he would have to figure out how the inclusion of h3 and not having the rook on e1 changes the position. But okay, here it means that he sacrifices the c5 pawn, and it would be very, very interesting if Ding captures this. Ding does not capture it. He actually plays knight captures on f6 with check, and it's sort of probably, if Rapport and Ding discussed this, knight captures on f6 does seem like a Richard Rapport move rather than a Ding move, because Ding would probably just capture on c5, and you would get something like this: b captures on d captures. It's similar to what Ding actually played against Levon. Knight to d7, and now pawn to c6. The same move that Ding played against Levon, only without the inclusion of h3. Bishop captures. Now you have to either capture with the knight or with the bishop, but whatever you do sort of discoordinates your pieces. Bishop captures, and now knight to d4 puts pressure on the bishop here, and if knight to c5, now you can play bishop to c2. getting the bishop out of harm's way. If bishop to e4, you will of course trade captures, captures, and now bishop to d2, just getting ready to double up on the c file. Black will trade captures, captures, and you have this position where if black wants, black can just play knight to c6 and trade everything off. Let's say rook f to d1, knight captures, queen captures, let's say queen captures, and rook captures. And now the question is, white is of course much more active. Let's say the b4 pawn gets defended, rook comes to c1, and is black in time to get the rooks into the game, or is white just too active? For example, castles, rook to d7, and now you can just play rook f to d8, and it seems that black is in time to prevent any serious material loss. So that's kind of what you would get if you go for this knight captures on c5. Sorry about that. If you go for that knight captures on c5 idea. Sorry, accidentally rewind a bit too much. So yeah, not knight captures on c5, knight captures on f6 is what Ding plays, and this is sort of the idea of a rapport, or at least what everyone is thinking. And now g captures on f6, not queen captures on f6. If you play queen captures on f6, then pawn to e4, and now black isn't really enjoying his time here. Bishop to g5 is coming next, so you have to play pawn to h6, and now if bishop to d2, meaning that if c captures on d4, the b4 pawn will become weak at some point. C captures on d4, now even rook to c1. And now, how do you deal with this? It's very hard to play this with black. e5 has to be played. If you don't play this, if you play something like bishop to d6, then white plays e5, and all of a sudden black is in big trouble. Let's say e5, bishop captures, knight captures, queen captures, and now just bishop captures on b4. The black king will not be castling, and that's going to be a huge problem. So that's why Nepo plays g captures on f6. Queen captures is not a mistake. It's just you're basically inviting e4. So g captures on f6, and Ding still plays pawn to e4, and this is basically throwing down the gauntlet. This is now challenging Nepo to a duel, as it really asks the question, what happens after pawn to c4? And Nepo did not take a long time. He just played pawn to c4, and now bishop back to c2. You could also consider bishop to b1, but then you just allow this knight to b3 move, and it's maybe a bit too much to give to black. So bishop to c2, and now we have queen to c7, and this is a very flexible idea by Nepo. Point is that b3, of course, everyone wants to play b3. You guys are looking at b3. Let's play this, but after bishop to b1 and let's say bishop to b4, you can actually defend this quite easily. Bishop to d2, and now even if queen to b6, you're just going to play bishop captures, queen captures, and it's not a problem. Queen can come to e2, queen can come to e1, you can offer a queen trade, queen can come to c1. So it's not a problem. At some point you will develop the bishop to get the rook into the game, and your position will be fine. However, after queen to c7, it's not as simple, because now it's very hard for Ding to find the move. The problem is now if you just continue development, bishop to e3 to sort of get your rook into the game, now Nepo will play b3, and after bishop to b1, now bishop to b4. And now it's much different than what we've discussed. You've already played bishop to e3, so you're going to have to waste the tempo with bishop to d2. And now, for example, captures, there's already queenside castles. Now you're going to play rook g8, rook g6, double up here. It's going to be a much better position for black. So instead, we have bishop to d2 by Ding. Also notable here is queen to e1. Just to show you how deep the rabbit hole really goes. b3, bishop to d1, and now if you try... now, of course, the b4 square is covered. The bishop cannot help out. And if you try knight to c6 to sort of get the bishop there, just bishop to d2. So it's not a problem. And it's it's definitely possible, but queen to e1 would have gone a long way. Instead, Ding played bishop to d2, and now Nepo just plays rook to g8. We have rook to c1, so Ding does get his bishop into the game, but now queenside castles. And Ding is no longer up on time here. They are both around the 1 hour mark, so around 60 minutes for both. And here, Ding continued with bishop to d3. It looks like a really good move because the queen and king are on the c file. The way you should have played this is either king to h1 or queen to e1. Now you're going after the b4 pawn, and Nepo would probably go for an active plan like pawn to f5. And now if bishop captures on b4, you will get punished. Bishop captures, queen captures, and now just f captures on e4, and you are getting destroyed here. Let's say knight to e1, rook captures on d4, and the entire position just opens up. you're not going to be able to hold this. So instead, after queenside castles, bishop to d3 right away by Ding, but now just king to b8, and here Ding played rook to e1. Here it is a difficult position, and it's very hard to find a move here for Ding, like king to h1 always begs to be played, but he played rook to e1, and here Nepo just gave him a big slap in the face. So feel free to pause the video and try to find this slapping idea while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this instant brilliancy. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is pawn to f5. If you haven't seen the game and you actually found this, then you are a true master of tactics. The problem is, and this is what the Ding definitely missed, is that if you capture this, e captures on f5, which would otherwise be a great move, there is rook captures on d4, and the white's entire position just gets destroyed. The problem is, if you accept the rook, black plays rook captures on g2 check, and after king to f1, it seems that white is just much better. There's rook captures on f2. You give up the other rook as well. And now after king captures, there's the incredible queen to h2 check. And now whatever you play, you get checkmated. If you play king to f1, just queen to g2 is checkmate. If you go up the board, king to e3, then bishop to h6 will be checkmate. So very unfortunate for Ding, but it is the new reality that he has to get accustomed to. So it's not easy to find the move here. There's basically no good move here to play. Ding, in fact, plays the top move recommended by the engine, which is not easy. On the previous move, Ding played bishop c2 to d3, and now you have to be incredibly strong mentally to accept or admit that that's a mistake and just play the move back, bishop back to c2. But the Ding did play it, and he spent a lot of time here, like half an hour. He's already down to 23 minutes, which is bad in itself, but not only that, his position is really bad. And here Nepo plays knight to c6, a top move recommended by the engine, even though f6 seems like a very human thing to do, just opening up the g file like that for the black queen. It's possible to play it either way, like queen e2, preparing queen to f1 to defend. If pawn to e5, let's say pawn to d5, queen g7 threatens checkmate. Queen to f1, now even f4. I mean, there's not much for black to do here. You can put this bishop on c5, you can put this bishop on c8, go after the h3 pawn, you will get destroyed here. But knight to c6, even more precise if you ask our good friend the engine. And now we have bishop to g5 by Ding. I've checked with Sese and the Norwegian supercomputer. Bishop to b1 is sort of the top move for white, but still it feels insufficient, because after bishop to d1, you can just play knight captures on d4. Not knight captures on d4. That would be making it easy for white. F captures on e4, and now after bishop captures on e4, pawn to f5. And now, if you don't want to lose the d4 pawn, you will have to capture on c6. Queen captures, and now, okay, you can sort of maybe try and survive this. Let's say king to f1, stopping any queen captures on f3 ideas, but still, it's just a really bad position for white. However, this was the best attempt for Ding. He played bishop to g5, and now if Nepo plays anything other than the move that really crushes Ding, Ding might actually have a way of saving the game. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find this second top move while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on always going for that instant kill. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook captures on g5. That's the good stuff. And interestingly, during the live coverage, Anish Giri mentioned at this moment, after Nepo played rook captures on g4, that he had a nightmare that he had to share a room with Hans Niemann. Now, I don't know why rook captures on g5 reminded him of this nightmare. I don't know if you have any ideas, do share in the comments. But okay, knight captures on g5, and now knight captures on d4. So you are down the exchange, but you've completely destroyed white's position. And how do you defend? You have to move the queen away from the d file. Queen to h5 was played by Ding, and now comes pawn to f6. Again, you could consider some other moves like bishop to c5. And the thing is that if queen captures on f7, there's even knight to f3 check. Look at this. I mean, this is disgusting. Knight captures or g captures, doesn't really matter. queen to g3 with check. That's why bishop to c5 is so strong. And after king to h1, queen captures, and g5, again, you're just getting completely destroyed here. There's nothing you can do. So that's one way to do it. Nepo decides to do it with f6. He finally opens up the g file for the queen. Knight to f3. You could also play knight captures on h7, and Nepo definitely had this covered. Let's say queen to g7. And now if knight captures on f8, rook captures. Now the rook also comes to the g file, so not a lot to do here. It's bishop b1. You can play rook to g8 and g3. It's possible, but still f4, and you just resign here. So instead, Ding went back, knight to f3, but now Nepo just trades down, knight captures on c2, rook captures, and bishop captures on e4. And this is a very classy move by Nepo. F captures on e4 seems like the move you want to play because it kind of chases away the defender, but after knight d2, what do you play here? There's no easy way to continue the attack. If e3, just rook captures, and now if queen to c6, threatening checkmate, there's knight to f3, and it's not easy continuing this. Even if rook to d1 check, you can block with rook to e1, captures, and the knight still covers the g2 square. So always remember, knights are tricky bastards. So after rook captures on c2, Nepo just played bishop captures on c2, attacks the rook here, rook to d2, and now Ding only has 14 minutes on the clock, but that's the least of his problems. Nepo plays bishop to d6, again the absolute top move recommended by the engine, now with the terrible threat of bishop captures on f3, removing the defender of the h2 square. Then comes the bishop to h2 check, and then he picks up the rook on d2. So that's the main idea, and there's really no way to counter this. In order to stop this idea, you will have to allow c3, and you know that once c3 lands, there's no surviving this. So Ding tried king to h1. This prevents the idea that we've discussed of bishop to h2 check after bishop captures on f3. But now, of course, pawn to c3. B captures, we have rook to d4, and now pawn to c2. And here, again, c1 is coming, so Ding played queen to h6, guarding the c1 square twice. But here, Nepo just played pawn to e5. He actually just came to the board and he instantly played pawn to e5, and he was in this position on move 29 that Ding Liren resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. The problem is the rook is out of squares. You don't have this square, you don't have this, you don't have this, you don't have this, and of course you don't have d2 because you then block the queen's defense of the c1 square. So you don't have a move here. Also, you don't have this and you don't have this, so you're just losing a rook, or you have to give it up for the bishop. But then you're not. You were up the exchange, but now you're just down too much material. So Ding stops the suffering here. He stops the clock, and he congratulates Jan on his first victory in his World Chess Championship match against Ding Liren, which is incredible. This is yes, the second game of the match, but it is Jan's first game with the black pieces. He outplayed the Ding with white. He surprised him. He had some interesting ideas that could lead maybe to some winning chances, but here with black, he absolutely obliterated Ding. Ding surprised him, and he had a nice follow-up to the surprise, but then at some point he just completely fell apart. It's almost like he couldn't decide whether it was him playing or Rapport playing here after this knight to a5 move was played, because Ding already played this line and he knows that it's a good line, and he played it well. He won a very nice game, but here knight captures on f6. This really does look like the influence of Richard Rapport, so they're gonna have to brush up on it a little bit. They have to decide, I don't know who is actually playing the match. So I don't know. It looks very. It looks like he was trying to play both his style and Rapport's style, and then in the end he just couldn't decide what to play. And especially this bishop to here after c4, and then here this bishop to d3 move. He played this incredibly quickly, because for all the other moves he spent a lot of time in the lounge, and he just came back like after an hour, after half an hour to make a move. But this one he played fairly quickly, and it was just a totally bad idea. Like it had no business being played here. But okay, Nepo takes the first game with black, very nicely done by him. And what does this mean for Ding? It means that now he will no longer be able to play solid lines. He will no longer be able to accept a draw in every game. He will have to look for a chance to bounce back pretty much at every opportunity that he gets. And what does that mean for us? For us, that means that as of game 3 of the World Chess Championship match, we will have a much more interesting interesting match, because the games will be more open. There will be more chances, more pushing, more sacrificing, more everything. And I think this is very good. Like, the worst thing that could happen is, like, first 10 games end in a draw, and then it's pretty stale. But now that we have a result, I think we are in for a treat, for a big treat, for the entirety of the World Chess Championship match. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Very nicely done by Jan. We'll see what happens in game 3. I would like to thank Ravishing Reptiles YouTube, Carlos Rudi, Tsanko Tsolov, Yaroslav Sembida, and James Cashman for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. But for now, we are covering the World Chess Championship match. And remember, tomorrow is a rest day. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.